fire up the maple syrup and get yourself a plate of poutine. NASCAR's going to Canada. Maybe.
Over him, look, he's going through!
Yes, you have to see me again today. This is the third video I've made. There's been a lot of news going on in the NASCAR world, and it's only 3:15. Oh my goodness. This morning we had Kamui Kobayashi coming to NASCAR for a race at Indianapolis. Then we had a penalty report with Eric Jones getting a penalty. And now we have this. NASCAR could be returning to Canada at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And the Cup Series could actually be going to Canada. The Xfinity Series, the second division in the NASCAR world. The second in the NASCAR. Like, there's the NASCAR Series, there's the Cup Series, and there's the Xfinity Series. You get what I'm saying? Anyways, the Xfinity Series ran at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for a few years there from 2007 to 2012. But the Cup Series has never run there. The trucks have never run there. But there is a NASCAR Series in Canada, the Pinty Series, and they have run there before. Gilles Villeneuve, of course, was a famous racer from Canada who raced in F1 in the late 70s, early 80s, died tragically. But then his son, Jacques Villeneuve, is actually a world champion, a Formula One world champion, Canada's only world champion. He has also won the Indianapolis 500. He has also run in the Daytona 500 in NASCAR, so he has some NASCAR experience as well, but he did run some Xfinity races, but the biggest one, of course, the Daytona 500 in 2022. So that's kind of Canada's history in NASCAR, with Villeneuve running a few races in there, and then the Xfinity Series being at this actual track for a few years. But yeah, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is really well known. It's where the F1 race has been for a long time now. In fact, it's the next F1 race on the calendar here in just about 11 days. So the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is very well known. Here's a track map of it. If you're a NASCAR fan, ignore the DRS zones. NASCAR does not have DRS, obviously, but there's your track map. If NASCAR is going to go to Canada, it could be at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Now, NASCAR has been talking about going international for a while now. As I said, the Xfinity Series used to be in Canada. NASCAR has its international series in different countries. And in fact, they went to Japan in the mid to late 90s to go do a couple exhibition races. But they have never had a points-paying race for the Cup Series in Canada, I believe. So NASCAR has been exploring doing different types of racetracks, whether it's a street race in Chicago, looking at somewhere else in the U.S. like Denver, but they have also looked for international races like Mexico, Canada, because those are logistically the best choices before going overseas or to South America. So what is happening, essentially? Nothing is confirmed, nothing is, official, but there is now a report of NASCAR to Canada. NASCAR is in discussions with entities in Montreal about possibly bringing the racing series back to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve as soon as next year, according to people familiar with the matter, potentially with the Cup Series for the first time. So yes, NASCAR looking to expand their horizons. They have done so a lot in the last 5 years. They're already at one F1 track. They're down in Austin for the Circuit of the Americas races. Been there since 2021. They now have a street course on their schedule with the Chicago Road Course, or street course, whatever the official name of it is. They also run on a dirt track. It's Bristol, which is a normal NASCAR track, but they put dirt on top of it. They run older road courses like Watkins Glen, Sonoma. So they have a pretty diverse schedule in terms of where NASCAR goes, but it looks like they are trying to more diversify in terms of where they go. As we've seen over the past few years, NASCAR has kind of gone all over the place, even sending the Xfinity Series to Portland. But yes, it seems like NASCAR is trying to do something international, even if it was just that much international. It's still international. So Circuit Gilles Villeneuve looks like it could be a place. There's this article about all the details about Steve O'Donnell back in February talking about the possibility of running internationally in Mexico or Canada. There's this other part of the article that talks about how, I think it was Steve Phelps, said something about the 2024 schedule being aggressive, or one of the most aggressive schedules they've had. So NASCAR is looking to expand their schedules diversity in terms of where they go. NASCAR is a majority Southeast United States thing. There's a lot of tracks down there. I mean, just off the top of my head, Talladega, Homestead, Miami, Daytona, Darlington, Bristol, Richmond. Well, does Richmond count as the Southeast? Martinsville, technically. Charlotte, technically. North Wilkesboro, technically. So there's a lot of tracks down in the Southeast United States, but NASCAR has tried to expand in terms of where they are going, whether it's opening tracks up out west, which we saw about 25 years ago. They started doing that. But now NASCAR is trying to go international, to Canada possibly. I think this is a fun idea. It really is a fun idea to go international, but to this track specifically. Some of the highlights you'll see from the Canadian race, or the track in Canada, the race in Canada. It was actually pretty entertaining, the Xfinity Series at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Now, the next gen car has not performed as great as we would have liked on road courses, so it's a bit iffy in terms of what it would be, but I think if they can make the proper adjustments, make it a race better, I think this could be good. It's a pretty solid track. It looks like a fun track for the Cup Series to go to. We'll see. But then the next question would be, which race does it replace? There's 36 spots on the schedule. I don't think NASCAR wants to add on to the schedule. And obviously, with adding a new track, that would not be reducing the schedule. But who would lose a date? Would it be a track with 2 dates on their schedule? Would it be a track that currently is on the schedule, only has 1 date, it's going to lose everything? Like we saw Road America completely lose its Cup Series date to the Chicago Street Course. What would the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve be replacing? And then also, who would operate it? Would it be NASCAR? Would it be SMI? Who would be kind of the head runner of the race? Like with COTA, we see SMI run that event, and they, of course, got a date from SMI. They took a date away from Texas Motor Speedway. And then there's other tracks, like the Chicago Street Course is going to be run by NASCAR instead of SMI. So they took a race away from Road America. But yeah, it'll be interesting. So tell me in the comments, first of all, what are your thoughts on NASCAR, specifically the Cup Series going to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve? And then secondly, what are your thoughts on where it would go in the schedule, whether that be time of year? And then also, which race would it replace? Would it replace, I don't know, like a Chicago street race? I don't know if they're getting rid of that. But, would it replace something like that, or would it replace a track with 2 dates? Like, would it take a date away from Kansas, Las Vegas, something like that? Just let me know your thoughts in the comments. But the 2024 schedule, they have warned us, is going to be pretty wild, pretty insane. But this would definitely be a huge, huge swing in terms of what NASCAR does in the future. There's obviously a report about this now, but there's also the rumors that the Brickyard 400 could come back. NASCAR looking at potentially the fairgrounds. I don't think that's realistic, but would North Wilkesboro get a points race? A lot to be determined for the 2024 NASCAR schedule, but we still got a while before that comes out. But this report, still pretty fun, still pretty interesting. We'll see what happens. What will happen? The Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, potentially on the NASCAR schedule. Once again, let me know your thoughts on this potential situation. And yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, and all that stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next video.